Hello, everybody. So I know everybody's very upset right now with the markets, as I see in the comment section whenever I talk about the crash. We are in a crash. The markets are in turmoil. But there's something very, very positive that happened yesterday overnight, right towards the end of the day. And that's why I'm going to speak positively about what's happening right now. And I realize many in the comment section might be upset. But this is a very good news, what happened with a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is something that we've been talking about for years. So despite the FUD, despite the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, this really happened, right? And the FUD was taken from saying that the new president of the United States, right, he was just lying to get elected. He didn't believe in Bitcoin, right, despite so many laser eyes and all that sort of stuff. He was never going to free Ross Ulbricht. This was just something that was said to get votes. No, he was freed on day 2. And then you remember the Sunday tweet about the Solana and the other Bitcoin. People started, complaining online, saying, "Oh, he hates Bitcoin. He doesn't like Bitcoin. That's never going to happen. He just wants his crypto for reserve." That lasted about an hour because an hour later he made another tweet with Bitcoin at the top of his tweet. Yesterday, still FUD. Yesterday, he's not going to do it or anything like that. Friday will be the biggest sell-off. They might have been right about that. But the point is that all of this is FUD. All of this was FUD. Actions speak louder than words, and presidential actions, I mean, this is unreal. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Establishment of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. He did it despite months of FUD. This is done. This was done. So kudos to David Sachs. Kudos to people working in the background for convincing the president of the United States to do this. This is an executive order. This is real. This is, the beginning of game theory. The U.S. now has the largest strategic Bitcoin reserve of any nation. This is not a tweet. This is not random words in an interview. This is concrete. This is the whitehouse.gov website. That's the actual website. So let's talk about the wonderful news, and let's not try to look at the markets and be upset at the markets and forget about this wonderful news. So the best news is that he went the way of a separate Bitcoin reserve. The Bitcoin reserve is separate, is special, and is above the rest. It's very clear in the executive order. The other assets are referred to simply as a stockpile, a digital asset stockpile. And that digital asset stockpile refers to any seizure, any of the other tokens that have been seized will be put into the stockpile and will not be sold. And so this is consistent with actually what Trump has expressed in the past, but also with standard US practice that many presidents have put in place in the past. So of course Trump has expressed that the US government should own many assets. He wants to buy back or get back the Panama Canal. Greenland is another thing. Well, it's not an asset, it'd be an addition to the country. But he's mentioned that about TikTok and like the US government having an ownership in TikTok. That's one aspect. But he's also mention stockpiles and other forms of stockpile. And, you may know, for example, that he was tweeting a lot about the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That was a big deal. Those big giant caves in Louisiana filled with oil. That was a really big thing. The U.S. has a Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The U.S., believe it or not, has more quirky things like the National Cheese Reserve. That's a YouTube video, and you can visit it. It's in Missouri. They have a National Helium Reserve, and there's a peanut stockpile, a silver stockpile, and there's many, many more quirky things that are stocked by the USA. Feel free to have a conversation with an AI about that, and you'll be very surprised to find that the US stockpiles a bunch of stuff, including peanuts, which I think is pretty crazy. Canada comes up too for stockpiling maple syrup. Apparently there's a huge maple syrup stockpile in Canada. So government stockpiles are a thing. It's going to be a United States digital asset stockpile. And this is very, very different from the Bitcoin reserve itself. And so I would argue that a stockpile is still a good news because stockpiling Solana will likely, in my view, be a better investment than stockpiling peanuts, silver, or well, silver, we don't know, but probably Solana will beat silver in my view, no doubt. No financial advice. But cheese, right? I mean, Solana is going to do better than cheese, I think, as much as I love cheese. And this is especially interesting when you consider the fact that Solana or Ethereum, right, they are the petroleum of blockchain. In the context of blockchain, you pay those fees. How do you pay those fees? Well, you pay those fees in Solana or in ETH. So if everything is moving to the blockchain, compute, stocks, data, real-world assets, then it may make sense for the US to acquire the fuel of the future in the sense of Solana, Ethereum, and SUI, and all of these other Bitcoins, but they are not acquiring. That's the point. We are not acquiring. When you read the executive order, so you see all agencies who have Bitcoin who are under legal authority of the US need to transfer it to the Department of the Treasury, who will create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Okay, and then point number 2 is this one. The United States will not sell Bitcoin, which is a huge deal. And then the Secretary of the Treasury and Commerce is authorized to develop budget-neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin, provided that the taxpayer, that is not costing incremental cost to the taxpayer. So some of this cost savings could go into buying Bitcoin. That's how I interpret it. So this is very clear. It's the establishment of Bitcoin reserve with no more sales, no more fears of sales of Bitcoin, and we're finding ways to add Bitcoin. And again, this is not a tweet, this is not a speech, this is a concrete executive order. And the digital asset stockpile is also very clear. It's anything that's a civil asset forfeiture or that was, collected via a criminal activity. You put it in the stockpile, and the only thing you can consider is a potential sell. So if you see an asset going down, they may sell assets from digital stockpiles. This is not true for SBR. The SBR will not sell Bitcoin. The digital asset stockpile will sell assets opportunistically. So entirely different. This is enshrining Bitcoin as the hard asset, and it's quite amazing if you ask me. This is something that's been predicted in so many Bitcoin books, and people should be rejoicing right now. And on such an amazing news, a news of fact, not a news of a tweet, not a rumor, a news of fact, what's happening to Bitcoin? Well, it is selling off. It is selling off. Is it a sell the news event? Maybe. Is it market manipulation? In my view, more likely. Many voices in the Bitcoin community are retweeting things about Binance and Binance manipulating the market. That could be it. I'm tending to lean towards the market manipulation part. Anyways, it seems like the second drop of Bitcoin is more due to like the actual market tanking, perhaps because of Poland spooking the market, talking about like building some great army or something. So that might be the Ukraine, Russia, and the political tension, who's now kind of geopolitical risk is tanking Bitcoin. I don't think that second drop is related. The first drop, clearly market manipulation. Anyways, Bitcoin did not spike on this news. We are not in a very good market right now. MicroStrategy is continuing to be volatile, so this is going to be good for the gamma trade of hedge funds. This is going to be good for the issuance of convertible debts. I mean, nearly 10% of MicroStrategy is essentially a daily thing. In these moments where people are upset, with Bitcoin not moving on the best news ever, if these are moments of short-term fears. I emphasize the following. Of course, as always, no or very little margin, like less than 10%, right? Because you don't want to be wiped out. No 2x ETFs, be very careful with those. They can be wiped out. No short-term options, right? If your date is wrong, you lose everything. So don't do any of that. No financial advice, of course. Don't get wiped out. That's the rule number 1, right? So either by margin call or by fear on social media, right? If you can't handle the FUD, turn off the social media. That's kind of what I do, but I just get upset and make videos about me being upset about the FUD. Bear moments, and to me this is a temporary bear moment, this is not a bear market. There are times to read, is one of the things I say. And of course you can read or reread. I assume most of my viewers have read the Bitcoin Standard, but you can just reread that. It's an old book now. There is a new book that came out in February of 25, so this book is less than a month old, which I am starting to read, which begins pretty good, pretty entry level, and that's a new book. So it's important to read fresh books. This is a new book, The Big Print. Of course, a name that I love, right, for a book in this channel being called Beat the Denominator. And if all of this doesn't work, turn off the broker, go on vacation, go in the forest, delete the app from your phone. You can do that if you don't have margin or 2x ETF or risky plays. If you have more of a cozy portfolio like I do, owning the common stock, you can do that, and then you just go in the forest and feel better. And of course, none of this is ever investment advice, no financial advice, no vacation advice, just entertainment. Please like, please subscribe, please go easy on the comments. Follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.